Hello students, my name is Samapti Sinha Mahapatra and I am your zoology teacher teaching in Sri Chaitanya Institute. Students, we were discussing about the chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration. And in the previous class, we have already discussed about till the thymus gland. Today we are going to start with another very interesting, very important gland, that's the adrenal gland. Now, looking at the name itself, you can easily say what's the location of this adrenal gland. When you use the term ad means above. When you are saying renal stands for kidney. So, the glands which are located just above the kidney is called as adrenal gland. Also, you can say that since it is located above the kidneys, it is suprarenal. Now, talking about the origin, this is the only gland which is having a dual origin. What origin it is having? Having a dual origin. The origin is ectomesodermal. That means some part is originated from the ectoderm and some part is originated from the mesoderm. So, dual origin, ectomesodermal origin. We are going to see how is it having a dual origin. Now, what is this? This is actually a diagram through adrenal gland. We want to see what are the different layers that you see in the adrenal gland. Students, there are two parts of adrenal gland. One, the outermost called as cortex and the other one which is the inner called as medulla. Outer cortex, inner medulla. Just look at this diagram and let us try to identify these parts. Now, talking about this orange color part located inside is the innermost part of the adrenal gland called as adrenal medulla. Also, I have written it over here that it is only 25% of the total gland. Talking about the outermost part, which is the cortex, cortex is having further divisions. You see certain layers further in the cortex. Now, students, very important to remember, what are the layers that you see from outside to inside? Or you can say from inside to outside. Because they might ask you in such a way only. So, you have to remember that in sequence. So, what I do, I remember it by using a trick. I hope that is going to help you guys as well. So, I just use the term GFR. We are very, used to this term GFR. Very common term. GFR. Here also you can relate from outside to inside. When I am saying it, the cortex is actually divided into the outermost layer called as zona glomerulosa. That's the outermost layer of the cortex. Now G, then it has to be F. So after that, this pink layer that you can see is the middle layer called as zona fasciculata. Zona glomerulosa, outermost, zona fasciculata, that's the middle. And then GFR, zona reticularis, which is this white one, that's the innermost layer. Now, looking at the diagram also, can you tell me among which layers of the cortex the layer is the widest? I have already made the widest portion, that's this pink one, which is your zona fasciculata. So, remember that the widest layer of your cortex, the adrenal cortex, is zona fasciculata. Again, I am telling you once more. Zona glomerulosa outermost, zona fasciculata middle, zona reticularis innermost, comprising the outer part of the adrenal gland, that's the adrenal cortex. Now students, let us look at some of the differences of cortex and medulla, focusing on this part. Now looking at the cortex on this side and medulla on this side, we have already discussed this is the outer part, that's the inner part. We have already seen that it is the maximum part 75% and this is only 25%. Now coming on the interesting thing, Whence we said that the origin of the adrenal gland is dual, ecto-mesodermal. So which part having ectodermal origin, which part having mesodermal origin? Cortex is having a mesodermal origin, whereas the medulla is having ectodermal origin. Medulla ectodermal origin, cortex mesodermal origin. I hope you are clear now why is it ecto-mesodermal. Now, the cortex, we have seen that it is further divided into 3 zones, but the medulla is having no further divisions. Very important when we are talking about glands, so definitely we need to talk about the hormones. Overall hormones of the cortex area, surely we are going to see each hormone separately, but once you talk about the overall hormones of the cortex is called as corticoids, or it might be called as corticosteroids. Why? Because in the first class we have discussed that adrenal cortex hormones are steroids. So they are either called as corticoids or they are called as corticosteroids. Okay, corticosteroids. I've not written, you can remember it just like that. And the hormones of adrenal medulla are called as catecholamines. They are called as catecholamines. Now we are going to see what are these corticoids and what are these catecholamines separately. Alright, now let us look upon the different hormones of the adrenal gland. First of all, I am starting with the hormones of the adrenal cortex, which was the outermost part. The very first hormone that I have written is mineralocorticoids. Students, we have already discussed that the hormones of cortex are called as corticoids or corticosteroids. So you will come across this corticoid term now quite a few times. The name is mineralocorticoid, and this mineralocorticoid, number 1 point you will have to remember that which layer of the cortex is responsible for secretion of this mineralocorticoid. So zona glomerulosa of the outermost layer of adrenal cortex is releasing this hormone mineralocorticoids. So first point is clear, glomerulosa is producing the hormone mineralocorticoid. But what is this mineralocorticoid and why is it named as mineralocorticoid? The mineralocorticoid name is aldosterone, and I know you have come across this term for sure in the excretion chapter. Aldosterone is the mineralocorticoid released from the zona glomerulosa and has several important functions. The very important function of the aldosterone, first of all, look at the action. It is going to act upon your nephron. It is going to act upon the DCT, the distal convoluted tubule. And once it acts upon the DCT, what it is doing is that it is stimulating the reabsorption of sodium ions as well as water. Water is actually passively reabsorbed, but once you reabsorb Na plus ions, this Na plus ion is a mineral. And this Na plus ion, which is a mineral, that's the reason why reabsorption of Na plus ion is known as mineralocorticoid. Getting my point? Also, when it reabsorbs Na plus and water in your body, there is an excretion of ion, which is the potassium ion. So, I have written it over here that this is responsible for the excretion of potassium ion. Reabsorbing sodium ions, passively water is also getting absorbed, and potassium is excreted outside via urine. Once you are increasing a lot of water in your blood volume rises. Your blood volume rises, your osmotic as well as the blood pressure rises whenever the aldosterone is going to function. So that's the different function of the mineralocorticoid aldosterone produced from the layer zona glomerulosa. Now look at the other hormone, which is called as glucocorticoid. Now this was called as mineralocorticoid because there was a reason of reabsorption of a mineral, sodium ion. We are also going to look why this is called as glucocorticoid. There is also a reason for this. This glucocorticoid, first of all, which layer produces it? The answer would be zona fasciculata. The zona fasciculata, which was the widest layer, is producing the hormones glucocorticoid. Now student, what is this glucocorticoid? Glucocorticoid is of different types, okay? But 95%, yes, 95% of the glucocorticoid is cortisol. Very, very important. Cortisol is a maximum in amount, that is the major glucocorticoid, but besides cortisol, even some amount of cortisone, S-O-N-E, not sol, and some amount of corticosterone is also being produced. But majorly, what glucocorticoid? It is the cortisol. So what we will see is basically the function of the cortisol itself. Now it has got several functions. Cortisol amount is seen relatively very, very high during the stress condition. It is produced during the stress condition. Students, you're also going to see a very important role of cortisol during the parturition process. During the delivery of the baby also, cortisol level rises. That is very important for the delivery of the baby. That will be discussed later. Here you can remember that stress condition, cortisol level very, very high. Now, it is going to promote erythropoiesis. Do you remember any other hormone that also increase the RBC production? Obviously, erythropoiesis means formation of RBC. Now, if you can't recall, let me just tell you, thyroid hormone were also responsible for promoting erythropoiesis. And this is also promoting the RBC production, the erythropoiesis. Formation of RBC is increased, but what is happening is the WBC activity, the white blood cells activity is suppressed. And it is very, very important to note that cortisol is having anti-inflammatory effect. It is not causing inflammation. How is it acting? It is acting as an anti-inflammatory agent. Cortisol is a very, very good immunosuppressant. I have written it here. It's a very good immunosuppressant. What do you mean by immunosuppressant? It is going to suppress your immune system. Do you know when do you need to suppress your immune system? Now, if you have heard of organ transplantation, students, once we do organ transplantation, what do you want? Do you want the host who is receiving the organ should respond back adversely to the organ and then reject it? Answer would be no. You don't want that. And if you don't want any kind of rejection, what you can do, you can prevent some kind of, obviously you're going to match everything and then you're going to transplant that. That is fine. But to suppress the unwanted immune responses, you often give the person immunosuppressor. And cortisol is a very, very good immunosuppressor which can suppress the immune system. Now, it promotes gluconeogenesis. Now, students, related with the name. The name itself is saying glucocorticoids. So, something related with glucose. But in NCERT, they have specifically mentioned the process through which you can increase the blood glucose level. And that process is called as gluconeogenesis. Now, break this word. Glucose stands for glucose. Why do you say neo, new? And genesis means generation. So, when you usually say formation of glucose, it is from the, either you say glycogen breaking down, releasing high amount of glucose. But glycogen is a carbohydrate. Once you start producing glucose from fat, suppose, from any non-carbohydrate source, if you produce glucose, that process will be called as gluconeogenesis. So, you see a large amount of blood glucose level specifically by the process of gluconeogenesis, formation of glucose from non-carbohydrate source. Now, this is the definition that I have written over it. Also, there was one more point that I wanted to include, that is the number 8 point. I've written it over here. It promotes proteolysis and lipolysis, and it inhibits the cellular uptake of amino acids. Again, split the term. When you say lipolysis or you say proteolysis, lysis means to break down, lysis means to cleave. You have already read about the enzymes lyases that breaks down. When you say proteolysis, breakdown of protein. When you say lipolysis, breakdown of lipid. So it is going to favor both proteolysis as well as lipolysis, and it is going to inhibit, it is going to stop the cellular uptake of amino acids. So these are the different and many functions of the cortisol, which is a glucocorticoid released from the zona fasciculata. Now students, let's look at the other hormone, which is this gonadocorticoids or the sex corticoids. Now when you say again the type of corticoid, it is produced from the innermost layer of the cortex, which is the zona reticularis. Glomerulosa producing mineralocorticoid, fasciculata producing glucocorticoids, and the reticularis producing this gonadocorticoids. Now, what is this gonadocorticoid? The gonadocorticoid is the androgens. And in the androgens, you know that testosterone is also an androgen. But the major androgen released in this case is a DHEA, that is DHEA, which stands for dihydroepiandrosterone. So the major androgen that is released is dihydroepiandrosterone. And androgens, you can very easily relate it with the function. It is very important in the development of the axial hair, development of the pubic hair, development of the facial hair. That's the function of the androgens produced from the zona reticularis, which is the gonadocorticoids or the sex corticoids. So those were the hormones of the adrenal cortex, that was the outer layer. Now moving on to the next region, which is adrenal medulla. Now students, I have written it over here that medullary region, do you remember what was the origin of the medulla? Medulla is being ectodermal in origin, and if you relate it with the nervous system, you usually see that, you know, it is how ectodermal relation can be seen, that medulla is a modified sympathetic ganglion, students. In fact, when you are going to look at the hormones of the adrenal medulla, you are going to relate it with the sympathetic ganglion. Now, since you have already done the chapter neural control and coordination, you must be knowing about the sympathetic division of the nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. When you talk about the postganglionic, okay, I am just revising it to relate it with you, okay. So, postganglionic nerve fibers of the sympathetic nervous system, or maybe you can relate it with the heart, that whenever there is a stimulation of sympathetic nervous system, two hormones are released, that is adrenaline and noradrenaline. That's a part of nervous system. In the same way, since it is a modified sympathetic ganglion, the hormones of your adrenal medulla is also adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, and noradrenaline, also known as norepinephrine. Adrenaline known as epinephrine and noradrenaline known as norepinephrine. And together, what do you call it? Together you call it as catecholamines, because it is derivative of a amino acid. So adrenaline and noradrenaline together called as catecholamine is the hormone of adrenal medulla. Now also I would like to give you one more information, that cortisol, which is very important for different types of functioning in your body, or maybe the cortex region you say, Medullary region, even if it is damaged, you know, the functions could be performed by your nervous system as well, because the nervous system is also having the adrenaline and noradrenaline that act as a neurotransmitter, and here both are acting as a hormone. Also talking about these two, you will see that adrenaline is the major one, approximately 80%, and the remaining 20% is your noradrenaline or norepinephrine. Now looking at the function of both the hormones, first point which I have written is very common to all. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are produced during the stress, emergency condition, fight and flight response. Now the function, students, can be very easily understood just by taking an example. Suppose a snake comes in front of you. A snake comes in front of you, suppose, obviously you're not going to dance in front of the snake, right? So once you are going to see a snake, there are different responses you're going to produce. Once you see a snake, your breathing rate is going to be increased. That's what I have written, that your breathing rate is increased. Your heart rate is going to increase a lot. Your heart is going to beat faster. So your heart rate is increased. Since you are really scared of the snake, I am scared of the snake, I don't know about you, but if I see a snake, since I am very, very scared, so I will start sweating. So sweating is also increased. Also, you know that there would be a hair erection because you're so scared, the piloerection is seen. And a snake coming in front of me, I'm going to dilate my eye. I'm going to dilate my eye, and dilation of eye means pupil dilation is also seen once your epinephrine and norepinephrine is working. Also, once the snake is in front of me, I would need to run, okay? Once I would need to run from it, I would need a lot of glucose in my blood. And the glucose is going to come in my blood once I break down the glycogen, that's going to release large amount of glucose in my blood. So obviously, glycogen breakdown is often observed. Along with that, breakdown of lipids and breakdown of fat is also seen. So the emergency hormone, the fight and flight hormone, epinephrine and norepinephrine can very easily relate with this example of a snake coming in front of you. Breathing rate increase, heart rate increase, pupil dilation is seen, piloerection is seen, sweating is there, glucose level rises in your blood, pupil is being dilated. These are some of the responses that you show during the stress is the function of the emergency hormone released from the inner side of the medulla of the adrenal gland. Alright, now we are done with the different hormones related with the adrenal gland. The last topic that is remaining related with the adrenal gland is the different disorders. So I have divided the disorders into two categories. One is the hyposecretion and other is the hypersecretion. One is the less secretion and one is the too much of secretion. Under the hyposecretion, I've just mentioned one disease, that is Addison's disease. And under the category of hypersecretion, I've mentioned three disorders. One is Cushing's syndrome, the other one is aldosteronism, and the third one is adrenal virilism. So the three conditions under hypo and just a one condition in hyposecretion. We are going to discuss these different disorders in our next class. Till then, make sure that you go through the entire adrenal gland and function of all the hormones, because if you know the function of different hormone, students, that would be very, very easy for all of you to understand the disorders easily. Why? Because if you know too much of anything is there, if you know the function, you can easily tell me that those functions related with that hormone will be increased. If there is less production of any hormone, then you can easily tell me that the functions related with that hormone will be reduced. So make sure to read that part before we begin with different disorders. Till then, stay happy, take care, bye-bye.